Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining this webinar. I am Paolo Bray. I'm the founder and director of our organization, World Sustainability Organization. And I will start sharing my screen. Let's get started with our webinar on Friend of the Sea certification and conservation. Our history started about 30 years ago when I commenced to work for an NGO based in Berkeley, California, called Earth Island Institute. This NGO was founded by David Brower, considered to be the most influential environmentalist of the past century in the US. And among other projects, both conservation and humanitarian projects, the Earth Island had just launched in the early 90s the Dolphin Safe Tuna project, whose objective was to certify tuna caught without harming dolphins. And in fact, there was an issue in the Eastern Tropical Pacific, which was filmed by the Earth Island of killing of dolphins by the tuna industry. In that area, the dolphins were used to spot tuna because it's an area where the association between mammals and marine mammals and tuna is at its highest for several reasons. And about 7 million dolphins had been killed in 30 years from the 50s to the 80s by the tuna purse seine industry because the dolphins were caught in the purse seine nets and suffocated. And so the local populations had been decimated, and there was a need to intervene. So basically, the Dolphin Safe Tuna program, with its over 500 audits every year, and together with the industry, which joined massively to the project, with a few exceptions, in particular the Mexican tuna fleets. And within those, there are some that are actually dolphin safe, those who catch bluefin, in particular, one company, which I will mention later. And by means of the certification, we managed to lower dolphin mortality by over 95%. And so I realized that certifications could be a very important tool to achieve tangible conservation results. And in 2008, I launched Friend of the Sea, which, as you will see, initially focused on certification of seafood from sustainable fisheries and aquaculture, and then expanded to award other products and services. 10 years later, we launched Friend of the Earth, which initial focus has been the certification of products for sustainable agriculture and farming. And in 2022, we opened our foundation, the World Sustainability Foundation, which supports projects in over 40 countries. A year later, we opened our first concept store, Sustainable Friends, right in the center of Milan. And I will talk about all this later. However, it's important to understand that we are two entities, WSO, focused on certification, a scheme owner, and WSF, whose mission is to support conservation projects. Over the years, the project has grown, and currently there's over 1,500 companies in more than 90 countries, which have Friend of the Sea or Friend of the Earth also certification on their products. This is the geographical spread of our projects, both Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth. And over the years, some retail chains have used on their private label products the Friend of the Sea or the Friend of the Earth logo. Sometimes it's seafood, sometimes it's nutraceutical, sometimes it's cosmetics, as is the case with Lidl UV cream, which has recently been certified. So, of course, we do our best to be always more visible, and we estimate to have reached about 200 million people over the years. We have been out on Time magazine, we have been out on BBC, as well as CNBC, Globo, and so many other international medias worldwide, as you can see also from these images. And of course, we are very active also in our social media. And we are the only certification who also puts its own face to consumers and to the general public right in the highest footfall street in Italy, with our Sustainable Friends store. The plan is to open a new one and a second one in London in a year and a half. And basically, from this store, we raise awareness about sustainability, certification, and we explain our logos. And we also carry out interviews to experts in sustainability and conservation from the top floor of our store. By the way, the store is usable by the certified companies in exclusivity for a couple of days per month, so they can launch their own products from there. We understand that this is needed also by the companies. And we also have developed a fidelity card, which allows consumers worldwide to collect points as they purchase Friend of the Sea or Friend of the Earth certified products and gain sustainable prices. And the other way that food and other products reach the consumers is also via the restaurant chains. And so we have a Sustainable Restaurants app, which includes over 500 restaurants in more than 12 countries, which have on their menu the Friend of the Sea or the Friend of the Earth products, at least one product. So in regard to the foundation, I will provide you with more information later, but basically just to introduce it, these are the current projects that have been supported or in some cases also started by our foundation in over 40 countries. And of course, consequently, we have a lot of partners and friends among NGOs, institutions, and companies. So basically, our organization, WSO, is the only platform which can provide the two consumer-friendly labels, finally not acronyms as most certifications are, which cover the whole range of food and non-food products and services with a solid 30 years experience, completely independent from the industry that we audit and certify, and also, as you will see, verified by the national accreditation bodies. And given the wide range of our activity, we cover basically a good part of the SDGs. So let's dive a bit more specifically into Friend of the Sea. It is the only certification which, with the same seal of approval, can potentially certify both origins, both fisheries and aquaculture. There's no other certification out there which can certify both. MSc is focused on fisheries, aquaculture, ASC, BAP, Global Gap are focused on aquaculture. There's none which have a common denominator in terms of the logo that they use. As far as the fisheries, the requirements are that the target stock be not overexploited according to the most updated and best scientific data normally produced by the RFMOs, the regional fisheries management organizations, or anyway the national authorities dedicated to the management of the fishing activity. There cannot be a bycatch of endangered species considered as vulnerable or worse on the IUCN Red List, and there must be no impact on the seabed that is unsustainable. So we potentially accept the audit of bottom trawling, but it has or similar arts and gears which impact the potentially the seabed, but they must provide independent evidence that this impact has been reduced to a sustainable level. The fleet must comply with the regulations such as total allowable catches, mesh size, minimum size when in place. We always have also social accountability requirements, differently from most of the certifications out there which deal with fisheries. We have also waste management requirements and fuel efficiency. In terms of aquaculture, these are the requirements. They're relatively similar to other standards out there, but we also look at no impact on critical habitat caused by the development of the aquaculture site, such as impact on mangroves, wetlands, etc. And then there's social accountability requirement again, and the other requirements which you normally would expect on a certification of this kind. And we recently have introduced also fish welfare requirements, and I will tell you a bit more about that. In fact, we have finalized several years of research carried out with the institutions that you see described here below, and thanks to the financial support of Open Philanthropy. And these years of assessments have led to the creation of requirements which are currently applicable in aquaculture to the 20 more species that you see listed here on the left. As far as fisheries, recommendations have already been developed for these four fishing gears that you see here described: the purseine, pots and traps, long lines, and bottom set gill nets. And these measures which reduce the suffering basically and of the fish or the aquatic species when it's caught are analyzed all through the different phases of the fishing activity, from prospection, setting, to immersion, discarding, stunning, and slaughter. In terms of the spread in the market and comparing to other certification, we represent in terms of metric tons this red part, and this means that we are the main certification out there, also because, as I said, we can potentially certify both origins, wild caught and fisheries, and we also have certified some major forage fisheries. As far as tuna is concerned, approximately 15% of the catch has been certified friend of the sea. This is quite normal. Not everything is sustainable yet, even though the trend is very good. And recently, we had this good news of the stock, the yellowfin stock in the Indian Ocean moving towards sustainability. And these are some of the tuna companies, just to give you an idea, let's say, of the general involvement of the industry with Friend of the Sea that have been that have products certified. So this is just to give you an idea of some of the brands, but there's not space enough to include the 1,500 brands which are Friend of the Sea certified. And here you see some of the products that have been certified, both seafood, omega-3. We'll get back on that with more detail, but it's fundamental to understand that Friend of the Sea is currently the only certification for seafood, for nutraceutical products that come from fisheries and aquaculture that has been endorsed by the IAF multilateral agreement. IAF is the international organization which coordinates and somehow represents the national accreditation bodies such as UCAS in the UK, ANAB in the US, Accredia in Italy, COFRAC in France, ERAC in Spain, etc., which are those state entities which verify the good work of the certification bodies, and a very short list of certification schemes. These are the only 9 schemes that you see here that have been, endorsed, recognized under IAF MLA. As you can see, these are the major certifications such as ISO, BRC, IFS, Global Gap, CEDEX for the social part, and Friend of the Sea. So you don't see here MSC, you don't see ASC, BAP, and the other certification for seafood, because they are not verified by the national accreditation bodies. They are basically second-party certification, which produce only a inspection certificate. They don't produce an audit certificate. But this is very important in a time when EU regulations and in other countries are coming out to reduce the risk of greenwashing. We also have undergone several benchmarks over the years, and I have attached in the handout material a report of all these benchmarks, which confirm the validity of our and strength of our standards, both for aquaculture and fisheries. Over the years, we have always been innovative in terms of and precursor in terms of favoring the use of new technologies in the audit activity. And so we've been the first ones to introduce a verifiable remote audit system, which we call SARA, Sustainable Augmented Reality Audits, which allows to video record the whole audit and to put it on blockchain. This has proved to be very efficient, sometimes superior to the conventional audits, which normally don't gather all this information. But we have gone farther, and as some of you might have noticed from our recent press release, we have introduced the first, on a beta level, on a beta test, the first interactive avatars, which can carry out the whole audit and video record it. So here you see my avatar. But you can also use other avatars, as you can see. I sent to you a link which is available in the handouts as a test. If you are interested to test the actual audit, because the avatar that I sent to you is more like an expert on sustainability in aquaculture and fisheries, you can contact us and we will provide you with the avatar for the audit. And this way the whole audit will be video recorded also for our test purposes. We love to hear what you think about it. The good thing is that this avatar, first of all, cannot be bribed for obvious reasons. Of course, many auditors are excellent, very reliable, 99% are, but there are instances where this could be a risk in other certifications, maybe. And also the other positive thing is that they can interact in almost any language fluently, from Chinese to Hindu, etc., etc. And on top of that, we're talking of avatars which have behind them the whole knowledge of the AI, of artificial intelligence. So you can even, in the middle of the audit, ask them some more information about the bycatch reduction method or the state of the stock of a certain species, and they will basically search with their brain the whole internet and get back to you. So in other words, one doesn't need to qualify the auditor because it's already qualified. It has the full knowledge of the whole internet. So after the actual audit, through our technical department, we also verify the movement of over 50% of the vessels which have been verified during the audit, those which have AIS or that are visible through satellites on global fishing watch, which this system allows us to verify that the vessels do not fish during the year in marine protected areas, do not carry out unauthorized transshipment at sea, do not fish outside the fishing season. And we also check how long the crew is kept at sea without returning home. This is a big problem with some fleets, which we verified over the years, and they keep the crew for over a year at sea without returning home. This is against our ILO, International Labour Organization resolutions, and all human rights also. So this system allows to carry out also together with the remote audit, unannounced audits, because we can verify when a vessel is returning to harbor, when a vessel is or a carrier is moving to a certain place, and we can ask immediately the company to activate a remote audit and allow us or allow the auditor to double check if there are suspicious movements. This is really an improvement in terms of auditing practices. We also, in our requirements, have been recommending since over 15 years ago the use of CCTVs, both for dolphin safe as for friend of the sea. And in some cases, we managed to have them installed. The good thing is also that more and more companies already have the CCTVs on board and can allow the auditor to verify on a sample base the presence or not of dolphins in the nets for dolphin safe, but also other aspects that can confirm compliance with the friend of the sea requirements. So we developed with Satlink, a major Spanish company provider of CCTVs, and Digital Observer Services, which monitors and reviews the films, basically the footage that is taken from the CCTVs, a project for a setup for Dolphin Safe, which has been immediately endorsed by a great company in Mexico, which fishes and farms bluefin, called Baja Aqua Farms. And these are some of the images of the fishing activity. You see the percent net, you see there are no dolphins. So all this has been reviewed and confirmed, and we think it's a great improvement, and we recommend other companies to come through and allow us to verify these too. After the audit on a sample base, on a yearly base, we carry out DNA tests of some of the certified products to verify that the species that is in the product is actually the same one that has been declared during the audit. And we found some surprises sometimes, but very, very rarely. And for those companies which want to go even farther, we provide the possibility to buy biodiversity or biomass offsets. In fact, in particular, fishing companies or companies sourcing from fisheries still have a residual impact on the marine ecosystem, because they have gone all the way to try to reduce the impact by implementing measures to respect dolphin safe practices and then friend of the sea practices or other certifications. This is applicable also to other to companies which don't have the friend of the sea certification, but they are still taking a huge amount of biomass from the sea. And this, of course, has an impact. Imagine that in some areas, for some species of tuna, just to give an example, but it could be applicable to also other species, over 60% of the biomass, of the original biomass, is taken off and is being taken every year. So there is an impact. So in order to compensate this impact, we provide the possibility, the opportunity for companies to purchase biodiversity offsets, which basically support marine protected areas. You know, there are a lot of marine protected areas worldwide, and a lot of them have, let's say, budget issues because it's very difficult to monitor and to manage marine protected areas. And so these offsets allow to support these marine protected areas, which are the biggest suppliers of additional biomass, not only in the marine protected areas, but also in the surrounding. This is an example of a project that was carried out by an Italian tuna label, which went in this sense of supporting marine protected areas. Additionally, we allow companies which have obtained for their products a Friend of the Sea certification to also use additional logos that we have created and developed, with the exception of the Dolphin Safe, which was already there with the Earth Island Institute, in order to confirm and highlight compliance with subsets of the Friend of the Sea requirements. So, for example, if you are using dory lines in your long lines and measures to reduce the bycatch of albatross, you can use the logo that you see with the birds. That if you using circle hooks to prevent bycatch of turtles, marine turtles, or you are using biodegradable or non-entangling fats, you can use the turtle safe or the shark safe, because you are reducing impact on those animals. Of course, I'm here simplifying, but this is the concept. And we also have the fish welfare logo, as you can notice, and others for aquaculture, like the mangrove safe and social responsibility, or the coral safe, and so on. Over the years, we have expanded the scope of the Friend of the Sea certification to award with the Friend of the Sea logo other products and services which respect the marine habitat, such as fisheries. And among these, of course, are nutraceuticals, for which we have developed specific standards, and consequently, we have become leader in the certification of sustainable omega-3 supplements worldwide. And also in more recent years, we have started to audit and certify collagen products. We have developed standards for sustainable UV creams. Yesterday, we carried out a webinar on sustainable UV creams. So you are invited, if you wish to know more, either to contact us or go through the dedicated page, or download, as it will be available pretty soon, the actual webinar. And these are the requirements for the sustainable UV creams. We request that either they release less than 20% of its chemicals into the water after 80 minutes, which is a very, very strong water resistance, or they do not contain a certain number of chemicals inside it, in its ingredients. And also we require offsetting the plastic content of the packaging. We develop standards for sustainable cleaning, and also for sustainable shipping and cruise lines, because if you are a seafood producer and you are doing your best to source or use sustainable seafood, or produce sustainable seafood, you then don't want to create an impact when you are shipping it through the shipping lines. And so we develop standards in this sense, and we have two companies that have been certified over the years, Sea Trade and Green Seas, and we would love to have some more companies come on board into this project, because we know that a lot of companies are already doing quite a lot of effort and investment to reduce their impact in shipping. We develop standards for sustainable ports, and also some standards in the tourism industry, such as those for sustainable aquariums. As you see, the number of aquariums that have been certified is growing. we now have from UK, Italy, Brazil, Croatia, and here you see some of them proudly displaying the logo. Of course, the requirements refer to sustainable sourcing of the ornamental species. And Aquario, the biggest aquarium in South America, has been certified too. We have requirement for sustainable ornamental species and sustainable sea salt. Some of the fishing company use salt, and salt can have its own impact on the environment. So we developed requirements for sustainable sea salt, and the major producer, the market leader in Croatia, has been certified Pasca salt. We also have a standard for plant-based seafood. So basically, with our Friend of the Earth certification requirements for agriculture, we audit the product, which can be an alternative to seafood. And we did that, for example, for a major company in the US producing canola oil. And finally, we have also a plastic offset program for those companies which input in the environment plastic, normally through packaging, which goes to consumers and cannot be verified to be actually then recycled appropriately. Then the company should, let's say, feel responsible, let's say, for this input in the environment, and try to compensate it, at least with our plastic offset program, which basically helps conservation projects to pick up from the environment the same amount and the same weight of plastic that the company has inputted in the environment. And some companies have joined this project too, in particular UV cream producers, but there are also, we know, some seafood that goes in plastic to consumers, so all the frozen seafood, for example. So what is happening is that the Friend of the Sea logo is seen more and more in different products, in different stores, from pharmacies for the omega-3 and collagen to supermarkets where you can find seafood, and others in the tourism operators. And it is immediately then connected by consumers to good sustainable practices and conservation projects, as you will see. So this is valuable also for companies which are in other sectors, because we make synergies, we increase the visibility of the logo. As far as the foundation is concerned, it has been created by WSO itself. It's an official foundation, and it has supported projects in over 40 countries. Here you see the various locations. And it has already achieved very important results, as you can see, both in terms of restoring ecosystems and helping endangered species. And in fact, it has received this important recognition, the United Nations Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, and it's been officially recognized as active actor. So here you see some of the conservation projects dedicated to aquatic species and aquatic habitat. Normally, these are, of course, endangered species. So let's go through some of them. For example, albatross. We partner with the Galapagos Conservation Trust, as you can see, and penguins with the Penguin Rehab and Release project in Tasmania, Australia. Corals, this has been a very appreciated program by also several companies which have also decided to further support it, where we are supporting a project in Thailand by ATMEC and Love Wildlife Foundation. So it's important to highlight how companies which obtain the Friend of the Sea certification already indirectly support these conservation projects and can make some claims about it, because at the end of the year, our organization, at least in the recent years, has dedicated an average of 30% of its margin to the foundation. Save the Sharks is a project by the Galapagos Conservation Trust that we are supporting. So you see, we spread through the various continents, and this is another important project to save mangroves with the Associação Mar Brasil in Paraná, Brazil. Then some projects we develop ourselves, such as save the whales from ship strikes. It's a major cause of mortality of whales, and it's very unfortunate that this happens. And it's one more reason for the shipping lines and potentially also the fishing vessels to apply for certification as vessels. We are now supporting one whale in a project in Norway to protect belugas, and in Italy, Fondazione Cetacea to protect and recover wounded sea turtles. And in France and Netherlands with Sea Ranger Services, which protect the seagrasses, the Posidonia, etc. Save the seals. In Shetland, in Ireland, the beautiful islands in the UK, with Hillswick Wildlife Sanctuary. Save the otters in Shetlands with the same organization. So, as I said, there are, in some cases, we're talking about species. In other cases, we're talking about habitats, aquatic habitats. And we also have humanitarian projects like this one in Lagos, in Nigeria. So one of my last slides is dedicated to the benefits for the Friend of the Sea companies. Of course, the focus is the certification, the third-party certification, which is our specialty. But the company is also benefits from being connected to conservation projects, as I explained, and can obtain a certificate of support. It can also leverage on the other logos that we have developed and introduced, and it can also carry out joint marketing initiatives such as international press release, a video interview of the CEO or sustainability manager, and involvement in as a case study in our webinars. If the company is selling to restaurants, the Sustainable Restaurants Project, and also we help to network, we provide consultancies, and we organize webinars like these and courses to update on the various issues. So that's all for now for my presentation. So now I would like to launch the polls as I anticipated. So the first poll is about are fisheries normally lower or higher environmental impact when compared to aquaculture? And you can answer different ways. You can say that fisheries are higher environmental impact, aquaculture is higher environmental impact, fisheries and aquaculture have the same impact, or they can both be sustainable, or it's impossible to provide an opinion. Then I launch also the second poll. Should fish welfare requirements be included in fisheries and aquaculture sustainability certification standards as mandatory? You can answer only in fishery standards, only in aquaculture standards, or should not be included in any sustainability standard because I don't like them, or should be included in both fisheries and aquaculture standards. The final poll is about AI avatars doing the audit. Do you trust, think about it, do you trust more audits carried out by AI avatars or by human auditors, like it's conventionally done? Would you trust more super expert AI avatar which cannot be bright, which has a huge knowledge, and which can speak several languages. And of course, then the final decision would come always from the human, which will review the whole audit. But I think it has some good sides. Anyway, it's lovely, to hear from you too. And then the last is more than a poll; it's like a rating. So we would love, to know, as usual. We always do that. What's your feeling about the webinar? If you liked it or not, etc., etc. How do you feel about it? Wonderful. So while I let you keep on going with the polls, I'm just going through some of the questions. Can both fishing and aquaculture sites be Friend of the Sea certified? Yes, definitely. As I explained, we are the only certification that can potentially certify both origins. Not only, we can also imagine certify or audit at least those producers which do ranching or enhanced fisheries, such as in some cases the salmon fishery, or as far as ranching is concerned, ranching of eels, ranching of bluefin, and so on. So activities which are half and half, let's say, part of it is fishing in the wild and part of it is then ranching, therefore aquaculture. So we can do both of them potentially. So we can cover the three areas. Another question is, how long does the audit last? And good question. Let's say that from the time of signing the agreement to move on to actually receiving the certificate, on average, based on our experience, 1 month passes. That's if there are no non-conformities. Okay, there's some technical time to set up the audit, and then the audit itself can last approximately 1 day, 2 days, or something like that. And then it depends on the complexity, of course, if there are different sites to be verified. And the auditor then has 15 days to finalize the audit report. What is the yearly royalty fee and what do I get for it? So the fee is viewable from, if you go to our website, in the apply area on the main menu, you will scroll down and you will see that you can click and see the public price list, which is basically based on the annual revenue of the company. There are different ranges, so depending on where you fit in, the cost increases if the company is basically bigger in terms of annual revenue. And but normally it's considered to be very fair and accessible, and we have a lot of smaller companies. There's a level which is actually also free of charge in case you are very, very small, a startup or something like that. So then there is an audit cost. There's an additional cost if you have industrial fishing vessels, etc. Are there resources available to improve developing fisheries sustainable practices? Improve developing fisheries sustainable practices. Well, you have our avatar. You can test and see if you will have the link at the end of the session, and then you can always contact us, and we do our best to help you. It's part of our mission. We work also with companies that do not then go with our certification, because our mission is to promote sustainability. And of course, we have a network of experts that can also eventually support further. So I think at this point, there are no additional questions. We already went like 50 minutes. We got several votes. I will show the results of the votes. So as far as the first poll, apparently the winner is that they can both be sustainable, but let's say very few have concluded that aquaculture is higher environmental impact, about 7%, one vote. Instead, quite a number of you have suggested that fisheries have higher environmental impact, and the same number has concluded that fisheries and aquaculture have same impact. So let's say that the conclusion apparently is that at least generally speaking, aquaculture doesn't have a higher environmental impact than fisheries, at least from this group of people that have kindly attended the webinar. And there is hope also that they can be both sustainable, because most of you voted in that sense. And then let's look at the poll regarding should fish welfare requirements be included in fisheries and aquaculture sustainability certification standards as mandatory? Yeah, the 80% concluded that they should be mandatory. So that's actually what we are doing. Currently, they are separated as standards. So companies can go that direction. And with audits have been already carried out, also for fisheries. So it's very interesting. And if you want to undergo audit, even on a trial level, you're welcome to contact us. The final poll about do you trust more audits carried out by AI avatars or humans? Well, human has been winning so far, 64%, but there is almost 30% which does not really know. Maybe you have to experience, and so contact us if you want to carry out a trial audit. And we will love to then have your feedback in that regard. Well, no more questions. So I wrap up and I thank everybody. Of course, we are always available in case you want to contact us and talk further about the certification or about any other related issue. Thank you again for your participation, and let's stay in touch. Have a wonderful end of the day and weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Help our planet with this first step. Follow Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth across our social media. Like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your follow and subscription helps us spread the sustainability message to everyone. Let's build a better world together as sustainable friends.